Welcome to Jets Rewind. I'm Marty Schupak from Valley Cottage, New York. I'm joined by Ralph Schrager in Belmont, Mass. Ray Clifford, who is out in Marysville, Ohio, will be joining us momentarily. So, Ralph, anything happened the last couple of days?
No, actually, I haven't heard anything. I don't know. Did Brees Hall win any more awards or anything?
Well, look, we're being cute, but obviously it's been all over the news that Elijah Moore, and I guess it's part of it's old news that at first they said he missed practice because of personal issues. And then he actually had responded to Rich Cimini's tweet where he said the most telling stat was he wasn't targeted at all. Actually, he was targeted once. I think there was a penalty. And I don't know why, Ralph, the fans are blaming Rich Cimini, which I don't understand. They're calling him like an instigator, antagonist or something.
Really? Wow.
This would have happened whether he was there or not.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Rich Cimini's, but it's not his fault, obviously.
No, I am a fan. But nevertheless, Elijah Moore requested a trade. He is not making the trip to Denver. And Robert Saleh and the Jets announced that they're giving him a day off or whatever to kind of cool down and refocus. And it looks like the Jets have been listening to Ralph Schrager because Denzel Mims is going to be activated for the game.
Yeah, and he's going to see time because it's the X position. He knows that, and
Ralph? What is the X position?
That's what his position is. And Z is Mr. Corey Davis, and
hey Ray,
here's the X. But what I was going to say was Joe Douglas was smartly didn't trade Mims. I never wanted to for a fourth or a fifth, like these people were saying, get rid of him because this is football, and usually it's an injury. And this is why they're not going to trade Elijah Moore either, because it's a long season and he'll get another shot eventually.
I happen to think they will trade Elijah Moore. I think, and I thought about it, I didn't think they would, but I think this is one of the most selfish acts I've ever seen. And I want to ask Ray, what do you think is worse? You think it's worse if a guy complains or demands a trade when they're 1-5 or 4-2?
I don't look at what our record is. I look at what they're doing. I mean, Elijah Moore is upset, and I understand his case more than I did Mims. Mims just wasn't being played and wanted out, which I get. A high draft pick on both of them.
This is starting to freeze up again.
Ray's breaking up, but I'm not, so I'll take over.
Okay, so we'll take over and we'll see if Ray can get back on. But
stop action. Ray's like writing stop.
Yeah, action. Ray's frozen.
You're frozen on my end.
Oh, Ray.
Oh boy. All right, we'll keep
Did you pay your cable bill, Ray?
Yeah.
Really, but we'll see how we do. But go ahead, Ray. So, well, let me ask you this. Let's assume that I just think it's selfish. I think they win 3 games in a row. Okay. Part of me says what he's saying is I can't stand Mike LaFleur and I can't stand Zach Wilson. He's a terrible quarterback. Get me out of here. I from what I heard, he had a blow up with Mike LaFleur. Okay, that just came out a little bit. And just so you know, just a little update. I know I'm giving you guys a lot of things. It just crossed the wire that Sunday, Russell Wilson will be a game time decision.
He'll play. According
to Hackett. But Ray, to me, it's like he's throwing Zach Wilson under the bus. And I want you to give me your thoughts again, and then I want to see what do you think the value would be if they did trade Elijah Moore?
Well, first, all I heard was that he was, being held out of practice, and that was, I didn't hear about any statements throwing anybody under the bus, but I've had some other issues going on, so I haven't been keeping up on a lot of that, but
Right.
No excuse, Ray, no excuse.
but as far
Ralph,
as
Ralph,
value,
when he tells us after the year, this is a good excuse. Take it
Okay,
from
I'm
me.
just kidding, I'm just kidding.
Okay, go ahead. I know.
as
Go
far
ahead,
as
Ralph.
value, I think he's far more valuable than Mims because he's shown that he has the ability to make plays. And so I think his trade value is way higher than Mims because Mims has basically been a bit of a disaster every time he's been on the field. He hasn't really shown a lot of the potential that we saw when they drafted him. Moore has shown it all the time. He's frustrated, and I get that, but I think the problem was he went public with it. I mean, if he'd have just kept it in-house, I don't think we'd be having the issues we are having. Now, did he actually say something throwing Zach under the bus, or is this just something you heard?
No, this is Marty Schupak's theory.
Oh,
Well, wait a minute, wait a
Schupak theory.
minute. I mean, what is he, why would you complain though if you win 3 games in a row? Zach Wilson only completed 10 passes. The running game was going like a German tank downhill. What's there to complain about? I mean, you could complain
Well-
that if you want to complain that the Jets are winning with a great defense and the offense is a boring 1960 offense, go ahead and complain about that. But do you want to win, or do you want to, get traded to Carolina and have 85 catches and go 2-15?
well, he probably wants to do that.
Yeah, that'll get him
Probably
more money.
prefers that, I
But-
mean, there are selfish guys in this league who care about their stats.
Well,
I don't-
they care about their stats because they all want that second contract. And after that, maybe a third contract.
I don't
which
think he's
Go ahead.
I don't think he's that selfish about his stats that he wants to be the only guy or anything. I think he just wants to feel more involved. I think his only problem was, taking it public. But look, we sat here and griped ourselves at what's going on. Why isn't Elijah Moore
Right.
involved? So it's not like he's the only one that thinks this. I mean,
Yeah, but whose
Yeah.
fault is it? We don't know. It might be partially his fault. I've heard you guys say all the time, why you're texting, why can't Elijah Moore get any separation? I've heard both of you say that.
Right, and I did
Watching
text,
games.
I texted it last week with Moore and
Mm.
Garrett Wilson. Now, Garrett Wilson had Alexander was blanketing him. He's a really good defensive back. But here's a question for you, Ralph. Are they using him wrong, too much at wide receiver and too little in the slot?
Well, I think the problem, and we talk about who's the main culprit in this passing game issue. I don't think their Jets have loosened up these defensive backs enough. They don't take any shots downfield, and I think the Green Bay was totally selling out on short and medium stuff. And the proof was when they finally had Corey Davis do a double move. That guy bid on that like there was no tomorrow. And you take a few shots, even if you're incomplete, you gotta keep them honest. I think LaFleur is too obsessed with Zach Wilson not throwing an interception, and as a result, the offense is just stagnant. The passing offense.
Ray, if I said to you, again, a Marty Schupak theory, right now in the NFL, there are 2 templates when you draft a quarterback. One template is you sit for a year, like Pat Mahomes did.
Aaron
Like,
Rodgers, 3 years.
He sat 1
Chase
year.
Bennington.
And the other template is the Josh, what's his name? Allen?
Allen.
Template of 3
Yeah,
years.
that guy
I
up
get
in
confused.
Buffalo had
I don't
Josh
think
Allen.
I don't think
Josh
Josh
Allen.
Rosen.
Josh Allen played immediately. Aaron Rodgers sat 3 years. Brady sat a year, but most guys high
But-
draft picks start.
But Ray, is
Yeah,
that the
yeah.
2 templates we're looking at now? One, you
Yeah.
put one guy in and it's a 3-year process. Another guy, and another template is you sit for a year behind a veteran, then you come in.
I think I think it's either you're starting right away or you might sit a year, but the 3-year thing's pretty rare now. But you get Mahomes was a year.
Well, wait. When I say 3 years, I'm saying you start right away.
Yeah,
But
but you have 3 years to.
but the maturation process is 3 years. So if you look at Josh Allen's rookie year, he was as bad as Zach Wilson. His second year he was a little better, and then the third year he was terrific.
Yeah.
Well, that's the maturation process you hope for.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah,
Well-
I don't think anybody expects somebody to step in and, tear it up.
Right.
Like a Joe Burrow did or anything. But I think teams know that going into, so that's, that it's either that or once in a while you get the old school guy who will let them sit for a year, which I'm a fan of. I don't like them throwing them right in. I think that stunted whatever growth Sam Darnold might have had. I think it got stunted with throwing him in that garbage bin we had for an offensive line and offense then. And I don't think we helped Zach out a whole lot last year, but part of that was on Zach too. So I like him to sit. I like him to sit at least part of the first year, if not the whole first year.
Right. Now part of that also is the state of the team too.
Yeah.
Okay, because there's always pressure. But Ralph, I want to also say, with this 3-year process, we still don't know if Zach Wilson is the QB we expect. We still don't know for sure. I think it's trending in the right direction right now, but I think you have a point that LaFleur has, some iron gloves on him about what he wants him to do, what he is allowing him to do. Now, it's come to light in all these stats, next gen stats and PFF, that Zach Wilson's completion percentage is a lot better when he gets rid of the ball quicker and when he has a clean pocket than when he's holding the ball, which he
What
holds.
quarterback wouldn't have stats?
That's
like
what
that?
I was going to
Yeah.
say. I think
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think that's the same stat for everyone.
No,
course it is.
I wouldn't say it's the same. I mean, yeah, everybody's worse, but his are really bad. I mean, he's gone from he goes from one extreme to the other. When it's a clean pocket, he's like the second best passer in the league. When it's a pressure pocket, he's almost the worst passer in the league. And yeah, worse, but he doesn't seem to handle pressure at this point really well at all.
Right.
I think it's a big change.
Though Ralph, in the Pittsburgh game, he carried that team in the fourth quarter.
He did. You watch him on last Sunday, and yet he looks like the game is too fast for him when the pressure happens. And I think to a degree it is, but I also think to a degree there probably weren't guys open, and he's probably being told not to throw downfield. I just heard LaFleur's press conference. Quarterbacks are not running up the ridiculous numbers that they used to when Brady and Manning and Breeze would get 50 touchdowns and 5,000 yards every year. Things are changing. Teams are playing more conservatively. And he claims, LaFleur, that no team is taking as many shots down the field. But the fact remains that teams are, and there are still long plays. I see them every day. I watch games, highlights. And the Jets don't have any. Just, that one broken play in Cleveland. That's about it. I don't know what the problem is, but I have to put a lot of that on LaFleur because I see other teams going deep more often and completing them more often.
Ray, how about you? I know Ray, like I always say, Ray never met an offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Right. But
No,
you put a lot of the blame on LaFleur?
I think I probably put too much blame on him. I admit that I'm not a fan of the coordinator. The one thing I'll say about Zach under pressure is he seems to be a lot less accurate than when he's not. And I don't mean just off by a little. It seems like when he's under pressure is when he's like short hopping what should be easy throws. And that's the part that I think has to get better for him. But LaFleur, I think I just don't understand sometimes when he takes a chance or doesn't take a chance. It doesn't, like I said in the last game, we had 1 yard and he did a 20-yard out pass. And then we ended up, I think, trying a field goal or punting. I think it was the time we tried the field goal that he missed. When we had Breece Hall running, well, I was like, one of the few times I would have said, run it up the middle twice. Breece Hall will get a yard and we'll get a first down. And basically we'd have been in better shape than when we kicked it and missed it because we got the ball from where he kicks it. And we'd have been in the same spot. So I want to see him take some shots down the field. I agree with that part totally. I mean, you got to loosen up the defense, and nobody's fearing that. But I don't know that it's always just LaFleur. I think it's
No, I totally agree with you. But Marty, one of your pet peeves is that he doesn't run screens. He finally ran one to CJ Uzama, and it was an excellent play.
Yeah.
And like, you know, this Sunday, what are the Vegas odds on the first Jet play being a run up the middle for 1 yard? I mean,
I want to play action.
Well, play action or, you know, just,
anything.
yeah. I mean, he's his, you know, he runs a couple of nice trick plays and they work, but then he just lapses back in this predictable pattern all the time. And
Right. And what by the way, Jets Rewind Plus will be on tomorrow morning. If you want to tune in, and you have to go to Schupak Sports, SCHUPAK sports.com. But interestingly about Denver, as good as they played 3-4, as good as their linebackers are, and I guess they have Chubb, who plays the edge, but is linebacker. One of their weakest stats is on pass coverage, the two outside linebackers. And it's interesting, Ralph, that you said that about the screen pass, because I think that's what they have to do this Sunday. There's no doubt in my mind, Ray, would you think that Denver's going to play up in the box, seeing how their running game is going, forcing Zach Wilson to put it up in the air? What's your feeling?
If I was a defensive coordinator, I would say, yeah, Breece Hall, we're going to stop Breece Hall. We're going to take him away, and we're going to try and get them into third and more than 5 yards and see if Zach can do anything. And until he proves he can, I that would be my whole scheme. And let's see if he can, let's see if he can make some plays.
Well, I mean, you talk about taking away the run. That's where wouldn't it be nice to get some screen passes to Breece Hall, get him in space? Right. Oh my God, that guy is incredible in space. Some bubbles to Barrios. Every time that guy touches the ball, something good happens.
Well, yeah, Ralph, I did a lot of reading today on the internet and going back to some of the Jet beat writers and the Elijah Moore thing. Denzel Mims is going to be activated. And who else do you think they mentioned getting more repetitions?
My friend Jeff Smith, but
I don't understand that why it's not Barrios. Barrios has been so productive.
I think Barrios will too. He will.
Barrios on special teams has gone so under the radar. People don't realize. He returns punts 15, 18 yards. They just take.
Yeah, he gets positive plays every time he touches the ball. It seems like. I think, I think this might be a blessing in disguise, the Elijah Moore thing, because I disagree with you, Ray. I think Mims has more upside than Elijah Moore. I like Elijah Moore, but I feel like the Jets, 3 out of their top 4 receivers are short. And I think some way they're getting lost out there. And Denzel Mims, like Corey Davis, he throws to Corey Davis. I think part of the reason that he's so easy to spot. And Denzel Mims has a phenomenal catch radius, and I don't think he's done nothing. I think he has produced over the last few years. It's been erratic, but I think you can see the talent is there.
Ralph, I don't think Ray and I question talent. Give me your honest opinion from what little you've seen of Denzel Mims. What do you think his football IQ is?
I don't know how to rate football IQ. I just know that when he's out there, he makes plays.
But Ralph, you see, he doesn't line up sometimes in the line of scrimmage.
How many times does that happen?
It happens, but he's not. He doesn't have.
Marty, we got no choice now. We got to play him.
You have to play him.
All right, we'll see what he's got. We'll see if he's grown up a little. All right.
I'm not ready to say that he has more upside than Elijah Moore. I'm ready to tell you this: he probably has a better catch radius.
Well, that's going out on a limb. Yeah.
Right.
Right. He's twice as tall.
Yeah. Hey, you want to respond to him?
Well, I've seen flashes of what Mims can do, but I don't see any consistency in it. I think there's potential there. We saw it. I don't know why
he hasn't never been used consistently. That's one of the problems. He's been hurt, or he's in the doghouse. But the thing about Elijah Moore, I loved him coming out of college. And one of the things that really jumped out was the way after the catch, he would make guys miss and break ankles. I haven't seen a lot of that with the Jets. I've been a little disappointed in that regard. I think he's good, but I don't think he's lived up to what I've expected so far
Oh, I
either.
think, Ralph, I
think-
think everybody agrees with that.
But I think a
Absolutely.
lot of that is that we're using Barrios for a lot of things that could have been more. I think Barrios is getting a lot of the plays that Moore would have been doing the same type of things. And I don't have a problem with that because Barrios is effective at it. And if the guy's that good at it, why shouldn't we use him? But I think that's part of what you're, if Barrios had left in free agency, I think we'd be seeing a lot more of Elijah Moore doing those things.
Boomer Esiason, who I listen to, he's very good. He always tells a story that he says as a quarterback, whenever he would throw, his whole career, after he threw an incompletion, there was never a play when every other receiver came in the huddle and said, "Man, I was wide open."
Even look, I watched Tom Brady for 20 years, and even he would throw into tight coverage, and there would be guys wide open occasionally. These guys can't process everything exactly right all the time. But when you do throw it, make it accurate. If the guy's in tight coverage,
Right,
that's the
right.
thing.
And again, last week, and I said this on the podcast, you look at Aaron Rodgers, I thought the thumb was going to be a problem. When he threw that ball down the left sideline, that was a questionable catch. That was like a dime.
It was a great pass, but I don't think Aaron Rodgers was that great last weekend.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't. And I just want to point out too, the Jet defense is playing great. And by the way, Ralph, PFF readjusted their grades on. Did you see that?
Yeah, I know. How it's so ridiculous. It just proves to you how PFF is such nonsense.
The ridiculous thing is, Ray, too, is that PFF is a business. They're all under pressure to get these stats out like first thing Monday morning, and you have to have guys that like audit it, and you have to have other guys that audit the auditor. You can't come out like that, but at least they lived up to it and they owned it and they said they were 100% wrong. But
was that when they ranked what's his name higher than him?
They gave him like a whatever the rank means, like 50 or something. Now came out today was 80.1 or 81.
I don't pay attention to that.
I don't either. That's why.
He was the defensive player of the week too.
The way they PFF'd our offensive line for the last 2 years, you'd think that we were all Pro Bowlers. Like, McGovern had this great thing, and we could never get a 3rd and 1. We could never get 1 yard. Right. Who were they watching?
Looking back at the Green Bay game, which I don't know if people brought it up, though. One of the biggest things, if you looked, the Jets did a phenomenal job on 1st and 2nd down, putting Green Bay in the hole on 3rd downs. It was like 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10.
Yeah, their running defense was much better than it was in Miami. Yeah, much better.
It was just phenomenal too.
Well, I think what's his name had something to do with that. Quincy Williams, Vinny Curry came in and made some nice plays. Everyone's contributing on defense.
They were too. Ralph, you mentioned the offensive line. I put down a question.
Yeah, that's a good question.
When Max Mitchell and George Fant come off the injured reserve, what did the Jets do? They make any offensive line moves, or they keep it the same? I want to hear Ray's opinion first.
I think they're going to just wait until that time comes to decide. But like with the way they played right now, I think I'd leave them both on the sideline and just have them there in case. But I'm a skeptical Jet fan in that just because we played good recently, let's see if the wheels come off when we play, Denver, a different D, a good D up in there. They just gotta. I don't think you upset it though, because they seem to have found a good place on the line, and I don't think they want to mess with that chemistry if it continues. And I would.
Yeah, Ralph.
I totally agree. I wouldn't touch it at all. And even if they have one bad game, I'd want to see a few bad games in a row.
Really bad.
Yeah. Now it's funny, Marty, that we have a potential quarterback controversy up here in New England. And I just read a quote from my favorite coach's quotes is Bill Parcells, who said he never thought injuries should guarantee a player a job. If the other guy takes over and he's playing better, it's his job.
Absolutely.
And Belichick, I know, believes the same thing because we saw it with Brady and Bledsoe. And even though Bledsoe wanted to cash his receipt and expected his job back, he didn't get it back. And how did that work out?
Right, right. So what do you say? Who's going to start for the Patriots?
I think Zappi's going to start this week. I think because Jones is, he's probably a game day decision. I think the pressure would be dangerous if they played Jones and they lost the game. That would really be a problem. I think they're going to run with Zappi until he screws up and the team starts losing.
Right. I just also want to mention, we talk about the offensive line. I agree. If it ain't broken, you don't do anything. I mean, Lakeland Tomlinson, he's been playing much better than he did the first two games. And Dwayne Brown, to me, he's becoming one of my favorite players.
Yeah, he's been terrific.
The way he's out there. And I want to ask Ray, a guy like Dwayne Brown, 37 years old, he's playing with a torn rotator.
Unbelievable, yeah.
How do you think a guy like that feels when he hears Elijah Moore come out with what he said?
I think players understand players, though. I think they know when, he's frustrated, and they probably know a lot more than we do from what we see on the outside. I understand Moore being frustrated and everything. I just wish he had just kept it in house. I don't have a problem with him being upset about not getting more. He wants to be a playmaker, but it's never good to come public with it. It never works out well one way or the other. Yeah, I don't want to see him start doing the Jamal Adams thing and like Marty. I thought he did, and start throwing everybody under the bus to get out.
But the other thing that with him and Mims asking for trades is they immediately put Joe Douglas loses some leverage and makes it less likely that he's going to want to make a trade. So I don't know why they ever do that. Their agents tell them to do it, I believe, and it's a stupid strategy. But
let me go back to the original question. Let's hypothetically, if they are fielding calls, and you could think of a handful of teams that need receivers like Green Bay, the New York Giants that are 5-1. What do you think? The Cowboys, as we enter the fourth quarter, what do you think the value is, a fair value of Elijah Moore? Or do you think they're just not going to get a fair value back? I would say, this is my opinion. My feeling is a fair value would be a 2023 fourth rounder, 2024 second rounder. Ralph?
Wow. I think that's too high. I don't think a team's going to pay that right now. First of all, he hasn't been that great in his career so far. We don't know that he's going to be how good he's going to be.
But everyone was saying they got a first round pick in the second round when he was drafted. You remember that? Right.
But he has some game experience now. I mean, there are a ton of guys who get picked in the first round after a year and a half, that they're bad picks. I don't know that he's a bad pick, but we don't know that he's a good pick either at this point. I think, they get a fourth rounder this year for him, and I wouldn't do that trade right now.
Fourth rounder?
Yeah.
I don't know. Ray, what's your opinion?
I think we could get higher than a fourth, but I just don't want to get rid of him. I think we need to find out, more. But
you don't think we can get a second for him, do you?
But Ralph, let me just say this, Ralph. He is what he is. He's shown what he's shown. Keep in mind, when you have a player and you have control over them for at least 4 years, there's value in that too. So you have to put that into the equation. That's why I think a fourth is a little too soft. If you said to me like a third round of this,
because he's still on his rookie deal.
He's still on his rookie deal. Ray, what do you think is fair compensation?
I think the best we could hope for is a third, but I still wouldn't give him up. I would not give him up at this point. I think that I still think he's got a lot of value, and I wouldn't give up Mims per se either. I'd rather see Mims get more of a shot. But if one or the other is going to go, I think it's going to be Mims. I just don't think they're going to,
Well, you mean before the trade deadline?
Not well, yeah, if it was before the trade.
I don't
But
think
I don't
either.
think they're going to trade either.
I don't either. I don't either. And Marty, when I said fourth round, I'm not saying that that's fair value. I'm saying that's what the other teams would probably be willing to give up. What did Robbie Anderson get? What did they get for Robbie Anderson?
I didn't hear.
Well, what they get, let me ask you, what, you could say that, but what did they get for Christian McCaffrey?
I think they overpaid insanely. I think they're
They
out of their
did.
Yeah,
minds.
I heard draft picks, but I didn't hear how
They
high.
got a second, third, and fourth for 23, and I think a fifth and 24.
I personally think they're out of their mind because I think running backs have a short shelf life. But Christian McCaffrey's resume is pretty darn good.
Oh, yeah.
Way better than Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore has
Oh
very-
yeah.
Ralph, you know
But he's also got to be on the field. He's
Right.
yeah,
you know who's happy about that trade, Ralph? Debo Samuel.
yeah.
That means he doesn't have to carry the ball, right, Ray?
Well,
Yeah.
unless this
Well,
guy gets hurt. If
until
you
his
look at
hamstring pops again.
he hasn't
Right.
played a whole lot his last couple of years. I think
don't
they're
think
crazy
he
to
did
that
at
they gave
all.
up that much. But then look at what they gave up for Lance. That team is got they're going to be in trouble in a couple of years. They
Yeah.
have destroyed their
Yeah.
draft for yeah.
But Ralph, I think the fact that when the Rams won the Super Bowl, that again, that's another template for teams saying we'll give up the draft. We know we have a
If
shot
they
to
think
win
they're
it this
that
year.
close, and I think San Fran thinks they're that close.
They do.
Do you?
I haven't watched them
I'm not
that
sure.
closely, to be honest with you. So I don't. I mean,
I think they're
you
closer
tell
with
me.
Garoppolo than they were with Lance.
Yeah, how's Jimmy G playing, Ralph? I don't even know.
Yeah, he's doing his thing. You know, they play try and play a ball control game manager game with him.
Yeah.
And you know, what are they 3-3 now?
Yeah, but they're 3-3. That's it.
I think so, aren't they, Dre?
Well, they just lost that last game.
But-
That surprised me that they lost.
You see, Ralph, I just think when you have
Last
quality players, I think you get surprised at the compensation. I'm not saying they're going to get a second, third, or fourth. I think they could get more than you would think for a guy like Elijah Moore. I really do. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Look, we're going to close this out. Before we do,
Oh, by the way, Marty, what they received for Robbie Anderson was a 6th and a 7th.
but he's got so much baggage.
I know. but
Everywhere he's gone, he's got. Do you remember he had that thing with them with
Elijah Moore's got baggage now too.
Yeah, but it's different baggage. You know, the bag and
So
look.
you think they get a 6th and a 7th for Robbie Anderson, who's produced over the years, and Elijah Moore's going to get you a 3rd or a 2nd? I don't know.
I think they will. I think they
Yeah.
will. I really do.
You might be right.
I think they will. They'll say,
Hopefully we don't.
what
find
player
out.
in college can we get in the second or third round that's good as Elijah Moore? I think that's what they're going to say. And
Well, maybe 3rd round. I don't know about 2nd at this
no,
point.
we'll see. All right, quickly. Giants are 5-1. Jets are 4-2. Ray, which is a bigger surprise to you, the Giants or the Jets?
I think they're both huge surprises, but I think the Jets are because of who we were, was on our schedule. But I think you can, read into that a little differently. But to me, I don't think anybody would have said the Jets were going to have a winning record at this point. Hell, I was here in 0-9. So, these.
Well, you're a Brady Quinn fan.
Not anymore.
I'm a little more surprised with the Giants, and I think it's very, very close. I think the Jets actually have a little more talent. I think the Giants coach is a little bit better. I like the old school type, but I think it's good for the city. I think it's good for talk radio and all that. Ralph, what's your feeling?
I definitely think the Giants are more surprising to me. And you already talk about the schedule. They beat Green Bay and Baltimore, which we couldn't do. And I do think the Jets have a little more talent. And I also think that as good as most football coaches who are rookie head coaches, they go through a growing period too. So that surprises me too. So for those reasons, and they're also 5-1. And the Jets are 4-2, and the Jets could easily be 2-4. It's amazing in the NFL how razor thin, a 4-2 can be to a 2-4. But frankly, the last 2 Jet games, their 2 victories have been more impressive than the Giants. The Giants are winning them really, really some really close games now.
Yeah. I'm gonna predict the Jets are gonna win this week, 20-10. And I'll tell you why. I started for the Jets Rewind Plus, I started looking into the Denver. Denver has a great offense. Great defense. Their offense is like all over the place. And this coach is, I think he's over his head. Their special teams is horrible. 6 games, in 6 games, they've had punting teams on the field with 10 guys twice. Which,
Are you sure they're not wearing the green and white?
yeah,
That makes
which is
Rex's
incredible.
day.
So,
Rex.
okay, Ray, any predictions with Denver?
You know, I think this is a winnable game. I don't know. I'm the Jets are so up and down. Every time you jump on the bandwagon is when they kill you. But it's a very winnable game. But we're up in that thin air. So let's see if the defense can hold up for 4 quarters. But yeah, I think the Jets can win it.
Ralph?
Yeah, I'm a hunch guy. And the last 2 weeks, I had really strong feeling they were going to win those games. I don't have that feeling this week. I will make one prediction. The last 2 times they were up there, they got shut out. That won't happen this time.
No, I don't think that.
But
I don't think it'll happen.
I feel a little nervous that the team's defense is going to rough the Jets offense up. And I think it's going to be a tough game. I don't know. I don't have this strong a feeling as I did in the last couple of weeks.
All right, there you go. So with that, we'll close it out for Ralph Schrager, for Ray Clifford, for Marty Schupak. Enjoy the Jet game. It's a late start. Make sure you catch Jets Rewind Plus. It's on Schupak Sports. It'll be on tomorrow morning. Until next time, let's go Jets.